That was Hall of Mirrors by Let's Eat Grandma, known for their kaleidoscopic synth-pop. The idiosyncratic duo composed of Rosa Walton and Jenny Hollingworth met when they were small children and have been making music together since their early teens. Now, they're getting ready to release their third album. It's called Two Ribbons, and it's due out on April 8th. It's their first new music in 3 years, and I'm joined by Rosa Walton and Jenny Hollingworth to talk about it more. Thank you guys so much for being on France 24 today. So this is going to be your third studio album. Your debut in 2016, I, Gemini, caught a lot of attention. It drew a lot of widespread acclaim from music critics, and this followed with your next album, 2018, I'm All Ears. That album won Album of the Year at the Q Awards. Now, they say that you gain maturity with each album. Do you agree with this?
Somebody recently described our personalities as being mature but silly. So I guess maybe this relates to the music as well.
And would you agree with that, Jenny? It's silly but mature?
Yeah, I think we're quite playful people.
So that comes across in your music. Now, Two Ribbons feels like it's a particularly personal album as well. When you first started out, people said that you were finishing each other's sentences. A lot of people thought you were twins, in fact, but with time, you've really affirmed your differences. Jenny, would you say that Two Ribbons is about your evolving friendship?
It's kind of about both of our lives through a period of time and kind of how we've both kind of grown up almost, but into different people, evolved, changed, and how that's affected our relationship.
So growing up in this album, well, let's actually listen to a title off Two Ribbons. It's actually the song that ends the album. It's called Two Ribbons. Take a listen.
Sometimes I become as translucent as my love. I'm bound to worlds that I can't be a part of. I'm not brave like the arms that held on to me to spread my wings in that snow.
So that's the song Two Ribbons off Let's Eat Grandma's upcoming album, Two Ribbons. Quite a low-tempo song compared to the rest of the songs on the album. It's a song about friendship, but also grief and loss in general. Jenny, in 2019, your boyfriend, Billy Clayton, an up-and-coming singer, passed away, unfortunately, according to after suffering from an aggressive form of cancer. It took you about a year to be able to write again. Was writing this album, Two Ribbons, a way to process that grief?
I think I process most of my life through music, whether listening to it or writing it. It's an important emotional thing for me. So yeah, I think writing this record was as much part, just because I love writing records, but also just to help me process everything.
And what's interesting is your friendship has evolved over the years, and so has your songwriting. And for the first time in your discography, there are distinct Rosa Walton songs and distinct Jenny Hollingworth songs. Rosa, can you tell us a little bit more about what your songwriting process is like these days?
Yeah, I guess it has changed. It's a lot more production based, I think, in terms of the fact that the production comes alongside and influences the songwriting and vice versa.
It's sometimes kind of difficult to define your sound. Back in the day, you described your music as experimental sludge pop. Jenny, does that still correspond to what you guys are doing these days?
I don't know that it does, but I also don't mind it. I don't know how to explain it. I think sludge pop is still very much our term. I don't know whether we're making sludge pop at the moment, but I feel like we're still a bit we do a lot of quite eclectic stuff, with our records. So I kind of like having our own terms to describe it, even if it doesn't necessarily fit with what we're doing now.
Very eclectic mix, as you said. A quick name on your band name as well, because Let's Eat Grandma, for non-English people, might not know that it's a sentence people use to talk about the importance of grammar and putting commas in certain place. Let's eat grandma versus let's eat you, grandma. How did you guys come up with that name in the first place?
It was my birthday, I think my 14th birthday, and we were sitting around with a group of friends and literally were saying, what should we have as the band name? And one of my friends said, "Let's eat grandma," and we thought, yeah, that's great.
So it was kind of a joke when you were 14. Years later, do you kind of still stand by that joke?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I guess that's like the silliness element that we were talking about earlier. Like, I think, yeah, we don't take ourselves too seriously. And I think maybe that comes across. I hope.
It certainly does come across in your music. Very fun music to listen to. Let's move on to some other music headlines that are making the news. 10 years after shooting to prominence with their Mercury Prize-winning debut album, An Awesome Wave, British independent rock band Alt-J are releasing The Dream. Diverse both lyrically and musically, their captivating fourth album represents a different, looser sound than they've explored before, but it continues with their postmodern lyrics. The songs range from talking about craving Coca-Cola to seemingly ever-growing rush for cryptocurrencies, as you can hear on this track, Go Hard Drive Gold.
Non-shift the rule, I put it on the table and go. Watch it chatter. Clearly mom's told to kneel with the RP. The next morning he shouts from his door. Don't be afraid to make money, boy. Don't be afraid to make money, boy. Don't be afraid to make money, boy. Don't be afraid to make money.
That was Hard Drive Gold by Alt-J, a video co-directed by frontman Joe Newman alongside its partner Darcy Wallace. Now, the band set aside 2019 as a year of reflection, and the drummer, Tom Stoney Green, fulfilled a long-held passion and became an actor, in fact. Now, Rosa, I have a question for you. If you had a parallel life, what would you do if you gave yourself a year for reflection? What would you do at that time?
Well, a few things that I always said I would do in a parallel life. One is if I went to uni, that I'd study psychology. So maybe I'd do a crash course in psychology. And the other one would be live somewhere completely different, explore the world a bit in a way which isn't linked to music, I guess.
Well, we never know with the coronavirus pandemic. Maybe you'll have this extra time to explore those options. Moving on to some other music news, the Welsh musician and producer Cate Le Bon has released a rich and intimate sixth LP. It's called Pompeii. The backdrop to her creation was the pandemic isolation, composed entirely alone in what she described as an uninterrupted vacuum. The result is a very introspective and somewhat subdued record. It's quite a good companion piece to collective lockdown in general. Check out this track. It's called Moderation. So that was the song Moderation off Cate Le Bon's album Pompeii, which she composed during lockdown. How did you guys experience the various lockdowns? Was it a moment of creativity for you, or was it a moment to hide under the covers and binge watch series? How did you experience it?
At first, it was a sort of big life reflection, as many people had. And then I think over time, I mean, I just like really struggle if I'm not doing something productive. So I just like basically like threw myself into doing loads of writing and like, yeah, I did some like remixes for other artists and stuff like that. Just like, yeah, it's important for me to be doing work at all times. And I kind of got into that, like a sort of quieter way of life, but still being busy, I think.
And how about you, Jenny? Was it a moment of creativity or kind of reflection as well?
I think my process is usually quite reflective. Like, I feel like I usually need to take quite a lot of time out write the stuff I really want to do and like think about just kind of emotionally process stuff. So I feel like it was a good time for me just stop at, like, especially given what was going on in my personal life at the time.
Much needed time, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to kick off concerts and touring as usual again and get back to what you do best. We're going to leave you with some music coming out of France. In fact, the French singer-songwriter Fishback is releasing her hotly anticipated second album. That'll be at the end of February. This will be hot on the heels of sophomore albums from other Francophone favorites, including Angèle and Juliette Armanet. We're going to leave you with the track Dans un fou rire. But before we go, I want to thank my guests today, Rosa Walton and Jenny Hollingworth from Let's Eat Grandma. Keep an eye out for their third album, Two Ribbons. It'll be out on April 8th. For more arts and cultural news, head to our website and stay in touch on social media. Stay tuned to France 24. More news is coming up right after this.
Je sais plus quoi dire, j'ose plus